Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming, and thank you for Senator Stabenow and Kelly for joining us today. So we had a productive lunch. We went over many important issues facing the Senate. We talked about our accomplishments. There are many. And this week we came back to news that we've added over 300,000 jobs last month, blowing past expectations, proving once again our economy is building back stronger than ever. 15 million new jobs, 15 million, a record. Just yesterday, as Senator Kelly will elaborate, President and Secretary Raimondo announced a deal with TSMC, $65 billion in private investment. Amazing. So let the good news ring from coast to coast. The CHIP Senate is delivering on its promise, bringing manufacturing back to America, shoring up our supply chains, increasing our national security. Just like the announcements of global foundries, Intel, and others, the announcement means new jobs, new economic activity, and there's more yet to come. Stay tuned about Micron and its $100 billion investment in upstate New York. The CHIPS and Science Act, along with the infrastructure law, the IRA, the American Rescue Plan, all show that Democrats made historic investments in manufacturing and workers. Now it's clear those investments are paying off. Though House Republicans have spent a lot of energy attacking women's choice, calling for cuts to Social Security, and raising the retirement age, the contrast is glaring. We're creating jobs and wealth and new economy. They're talking about cutting back on women's rights, cutting Social Security, raising the retirement age. Also this week, President Biden announced executive action to relieve the burden of student debt for 30 million Americans. You want to reduce people's costs? Reduce the debt burden. It's a huge, huge anchor around the feet of so many Americans. And what President Biden did is great news for everyone, particularly borrowers in communities of color who are disproportionately impacted by the student debt crisis. For too long, the debt has held back borrowers from reaching the middle class. President Biden's giving them a chance to achieve their dream. So we're going to continue to focus on American families. We're waiting for Republicans to join us. Senator Stabenow.
Well, thank you, Senator Schumer. The American people sent us to Washington to govern, and that's exactly what Democrats have been doing and continue to do. We're rebuilding America. We're bringing jobs home. That's what essentially Senator Schumer is talking about. Jobs that were overseas coming home. And we're taking on big corporate interests to lower costs. We're growing the middle class and focusing on lowering costs. And we took on one of the biggest areas of cost for Americans that have been talked about for years, and that's Big Pharma. We took on Big Pharma, and we won. Now seniors don't pay more than $35 a month for insulin, and that's a big deal for people. Shingles and pneumonia and other vaccines are free, and drug companies can no longer rip off seniors by raising their prices faster than the rate of inflation. If you're getting a cancer treatment in a doctor's office or a hospital, this makes a huge difference. Lower prices are being negotiated for 10 drugs that treat conditions including blood clots and heart failure and cancer and arthritis. And in 2024, right now, the out-of-pocket cost totally for seniors is $3,200, not $10,000, not $14,000, not $20,000 or more that many people pay. $3,200, and next year it permanently goes to $2,000 a year, which is a very big deal. And that's going to save nearly 19 million Americans an average of $400 every year. But Big Pharma continues to fight every single one of these things, and they've gone to court, in fact. They've gone to court against the Biden administration to stop negotiation. And the Republicans are right there with them. So We're going to continue to stand up to the drug companies to reduce prescription drug costs, but our work is in total contrast to the House Republican budget that was just released, where they announced all of the things I just said would be repealed. All of them. Costs would go back up. They wouldn't repeal the 40% tax cut that they gave in 2017 to the drug companies. Oh, no. But every single thing to lower costs would be repealed. They proposed significant cuts to Medicare and to health care through the Affordable Care Act. And, like we heard from Donald Trump yesterday, Republicans will do nothing to give women access to the reproductive health care that we need. In fact, today, 1 out of 3 women now live in a state with extreme abortion bans. 1 out of 3 American women. And Donald Trump said he was proudly the person for being responsible for ending Roe v. Wade and causing all of this chaos. So while they rip away health care for Americans, we trust women to make our own health care decisions, and we're going to continue to take on Big Pharma, and other corporate interests that are ripping people off so we can lower their costs. Thank you.
Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Senator Schumer. Hey, before I talk about chips, I want to say a few words about the disastrous decision by the Arizona Supreme Court today to reinstate a total ban on abortion. From a law that was passed in 1864, before Arizona was a state, actually 48 years before Arizona became a state. Senator Stabenow mentioned 1 out of 3 women live in a state that have an extreme abortion ban. Well, about 30 minutes ago, that number went up. This is going to criminalize doctors for doing their jobs, and it's going to have a devastating effect on the health and freedom of women in Arizona. It's going to put lives at risk. Now, this law may have been written 160 years ago, but it's only being reinstated now because of politicians who worked to overturn Roe v. Wade. In fact, in the Supreme Court ruling today, it mentioned the Dobbs decision 22 times. This is devastating for women in Arizona. I've got a daughter and granddaughter in Arizona. This is not who we are as Arizonans. And I refuse to allow Arizona to become a state where doctors are going to be afraid to practice, to just do their jobs. Women deserve the right to make these decisions on their own, not politicians in Washington making them for them. So I'm going to continue to work to fix this. But I've got to, stress that this is a really sad day for the state of Arizona. Now, yesterday, as Senator Schumer mentioned, the CHIPS Act grants, a grant was awarded for TSMC. TSMC is investing $65 billion of their own money in the state of Arizona. They're receiving a $6.6 billion grant from the Department of Commerce because of the CHIPS and Science Act. This means there will be tens of thousands of construction and manufacturing jobs created in the state of Arizona. These are jobs that you can actually raise a family on, that don't require a 4-year degree. This is also an investment in our workforce. And when these factories are done, we will be making the most advanced semiconductor chips in the world in the state of Arizona. So this is a win for Arizona, and it's a win for our country. It's bringing back manufacturing jobs from overseas. It's going to strengthen our economy, strengthen our supply chains, and strengthen our national security. And this, as Senator Schumer mentioned, this is only the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, my colleagues. Questions?
Senator Schumer, can you react?
Yes.
Your colleagues say you're going to offer a motion to dismiss the impeachment charges on Thursday. Are you at all concerned that if some Democrats in tough races vote for that, it can come back to haunt them on the campaign trail?
Look, we're going to try and resolve this issue as quickly as possible. Impeachment should never be used to settle policy disagreements. Yes.
Does that mean that there might be a debate about some sort of a framework for us to at least hear from the managers? What do you think is?
As I said, we're going to try to resolve this as quickly as possible. As I've said in the past, it's absurd, and there are no charges in the House complaint that rise to the level of impeachment. Yes.
Does that mean dismissing it or tabling it?
As I said, we're going to move forward and resolve this as quickly as possible. Once again, impeachment should never be used to settle policy disagreements. Yes, go ahead. Look, I'm all for the package. If there are enough votes to move it forward in the right way, yeah, we'll try to get it on the floor. But right now, we don't think they're trying to get enough votes. Yes, the sponsors are trying to see if there are enough votes.
Do you have any updates on the nomination of Neil Long to the Third Circuit? Do you think he's going to have the votes or no?
Look, it's something I support, and we're talking to our colleagues about it. Yes.
Should the administration be rolling out a student loan plan when we're seeing so many delays with rolling out financial aid right now?
Absolutely. Student loans, I was around my state during the break. This is one of the most important issues to so many people, particularly people of color. Our Republican colleagues who are against this are not doing what it takes to help families get settled and to help reduce costs on the American people.
Leader Schumer.
Yes, go ahead.
On Arizona, can you give your reaction to this latest?
Yeah, look, the bottom line is that Republicans have always stood for a nationwide abortion ban. And Donald Trump, in his speech yesterday, specifically bragged about appointing three MAGA justices who repealed Roe v. Wade and proudly took credit for it. The American people know where Democrats are, where Republicans are, and this will be a large, looming issue in the campaign. Thanks, everybody.